Agin Erev Shabas. Welcome everyone to our Erev Shabas Parshas Eikev edition. It's the first full week of the Shiva Dinachemta. So this week, Parshas Eikev, and we have amazing discoveries this Shabbos. So let's begin with the first offering, Pesacheinu Megadim. I want to make sure that everybody has access to the new Sefer, Tzipisa Yeshua, Tzipisa Yeshua, and if you would like to get a free copy of Tzipisa Yeshua, now you could actually go to the store and buy it. That's also an option. But if, let's say, you want to get it for free, then you go to Marbitze Torah 1@gmail.com and let them know you would like to get the Sefer for free. All you have to do is learn it. Or let's say you would like to donate the Sefer so that someone else could learn it. You could also go there. Now I know that you're starting to think about the Yemei Elul and the Yom Noram, and you were wondering, I read the Mystery and the Majesty last year on Elul, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, but how do I get it in Spanish or French? Well, it's available from ArtScroll now in Spanish and French. And if, let's say, you're trying to brush up on your Portuguese, well, this year, for the first time, it's being published in Brazil in Portuguese. So that's another option for you. Okay, we're now going to Pesacheinu Megadim. Pesacheinu Megadim, connecting the beginning and end of this week's Parsha. I have to say, the connection between the beginning and end of this week's Parsha is so compelling, and the Maramakam I'm going to show you is such a great treasure. Because, this whole Seder that we have, Pesacheinu Megadim, is all predicated on the fact that there should be a connection between the beginning and the end of the Parsha. But imagine if we found in a Rishain who says explicitly that Parshas are connected in the beginning and the end. That would be something, that would be like a kiss from Hashem, that would be an embrace from above, endorsing our whole Seder. Well, watch this. The Parsha begins. By the way, if you're looking at the Maramakomis on your screen, there's a very easy way to get these Maramakomis to your inbox. You go to our site, RabbiDG.com, and you just subscribe, and it will be sent to you every Friday. V'haya Eikev Tishma'on. Eis hamishpatim ha'ela ushmartem v'asisem oisam. And it will be Eikev Tishma'on. Eis hamishpatim ha'ela ushmartem v'asisem oisam. We know that the word Eikev refers to the heel or the footstep. And Rashi indeed says that it's referring to the mitzvahs, the light mitzvahs that a person tends to trample on. That if Rashi learns the pasuk, that if you are careful to observe even the light mitzvahs that a person tramples on, he will be zoicha to what it says at the end of the parsha. Listen to this. Because if the parsha begins, V'haya Eikev Tishma'on, which are the mitzvahs that people trample on, what does it say at the end of the parsha? Kol Makoim asher tidroich kaf raglechem boy lachem yiyeh. Wherever you step on in Eretz Yisrael and beyond will be yours. Min hamidbar v'halavanoin, min hanahar, nahar pras, from the Euphrates, v'ad hayama achroin, until the final sea, the last sea, the Yiyeh gvulchem, lo yisyatze vish b'fnechem, no one will stand before you. Pachtechem u'moirachem, yitein Hashem aleikechem, al pnei kol haaretz, asher tidruchuba. Wherever you step, your fear will be instilled. Did you realize? The parsha begins, if you're careful on the mitzvahs that people step on, then wherever you step beyond the boundaries of Israel will be yours. So we have this commonality. If you're careful not to step on the mitzvahs, wherever you trod will be yours. So, my friend, Rabbi Daniel Weinstein, sent to me amazing Maramakim, the Tzrar Hamar, Rabbi Avram Saba, who's one of the Gerushei Sfarad, and the Tzrar Hamar follows in this Mahalach, and he reveals great light on the whole inyan of Pesacheinu Megadim, and Baruch Hashem that Hashem assisted us and guided us in the path that the Rishonim have went. Listen to what the Tzar Hamar writes. He says, Kol makom asher tidroich kaf raglechem boi lochem yiyeh, says the Tzar Hamar, the Parsha ends connecting the end to the beginning and the beginning to the end. You know why? Like a flame that's connected to a coal. And since in the beginning of the Parsha it says V'haya Eikev tishma'un, which is a remez to the mitzvahs that people stomp on. It's a remez to the mitzvahs where mekayim ba'afar, like covering blood in afar, or don't plow with an ox or donkey together. So the pasuk is saying, if you guard them, then wherever you step, it will be yours. And in the merit of the mitzvahs that you do with afar, you'll inherit Eretz Yisrael. This is what it means. Pachtechem u'moirachem yitein Hashem lekeichem al pnei kol haaretz asher tidruchu ba. You know, it's interesting. It says at the end of the parsha twice, Kol makom asher tidroich kaf raglechem, and it says al pnei kol haaretz asher tidruchu ba. Maybe one is to tell you that if you're careful in the mitzvah sha'adam dash ba'akevav, you'll be zeichet to Eretz Yisrael, and one is to tell you if you're careful in the mitzvah you perform with afar, you will inherit Eretz Yisrael. And here's the Whopper. The Parsha ends like God told you that He'll give you the land of Eretz Yisrael wherever you step. So the question is, where did God ever tell this to us before? We never encountered before that wherever we step, Hashem will give us. We know what the borders proper of Eretz Yisrael are, but where does it say that wherever we trod will also be ours? Says the Tzar Amar, that's the beginning of the Parsha. V'haya Eikev tishma'un al ha'adama asher nishba v'sechel asoslach. The final words of the Parsha. Ka'asher diber lachem. Ka'asher diber lachem is going on the beginning of the Parsha. Namely, in the beginning of the Parsha, Hashem tells us, V'haya Eikev tishma'un. And if we do that, then we'll be zoichet to what it says in the end of the Parsha. But the clincher is that Tzar Hamar interprets the final words, Ka'asher diber lachem, as going on, V'haya Eikev tishma'un. Now, I want to add, in the beginning of the Parsha, it also says, Lo yisyatsev ish. Lo yisira mehem, and it says, Lo yisyatsev ish b'fanecha ad hishmidecha isam. So in the end of the Parsha also we have the similar expression, Lo yisyatsev ish b'fnechem. And now we have, after Baruch Hashem, which Parsha is this? Let's count. Bahaloischos 36, Bamidbar, Nasai, Bahaloischos 36, Shlach is 37, Kairach is 38, Chukas is 39, Balak is 40, Pinchas is 41, Matos is 42, Masei is 43, Devarim is 44, Vaschanan is 45, Eikev is 40. In the 46th Parsha, we come to understand what's the reason there's a connection between the beginning and the end of the Parsha. And the reason is, it's like a flame that is connected to a coal. The Torah is like fire. Haloi, ki haloi, Devar Hashem ki haloi devari ke'eshnom Hashem, and therefore it's connected at its doorways like a shalheves keshura begacheles. So that is an amazing discovery. So actually, when I was preparing the Parsha, right away I noticed that connection, that between Eikev and Kol makom asher tidroich kaf raglechem. But here the Tzar Hamar is telling us the rationale behind it. Kishalheves keshura begacheles. Now, another connection. It starts off, V'haya Eikev tishma'un eis hamishpatim eila ushemartem. You need to guard the mitzvahs. Likewise, in the end, Ki im shamar tishmirun eis kol ha-mitzvah zois. Or, in the beginning, regarding Shmiya, we once discussed that in the beginning of the parsha, V'haya Eikev Tishma'un, it's a remez to Av, Chodesh Av, because Chodesh Av is Keneged Shmiya. The Sefer Yetzirah says, Himlech Ois Tes B'Shmiya, and the month is on a low level, it's Garua B'Lechinas Eikev, but we are masakein it in the end of the parsha when it says a full Shmiya, V'haya Im Shamaya Tishma'u. Now, I want to share with you two more ideas, and these two ideas come from two people sent them to me. The first one is very interesting. The Medrash says on V'haya Eikev Tishma'un that which mitzvah is it referring to? It's specifically referring to the mitzvah of Shabas. In the Medrash Rabbah, in the very beginning of our Parsha Gimel Ois Aleph, Halacha. Adam Yisol Sheish Le Menorah Sha'asuya Prakim Prakim. Let's say you have a menorah that's composed of different sections. Are you allowed to move it on Shabbos? So the Medrash brings, if you are markiv branches of a menorah on Shabbos, you're chayiv v'chatas. Why are you chayiv? Amar Rabbi Avo b'shem Rabbi Yochanan. If you're markiv, if you join together the segments of a menorah, like someone who builds on Shabbos, you're chayiv. Amar Rabbi Yosef Reb Chanina. When did Klal Yisrael observe the Shabbos properly? When it was given to them in Olosh, like it says, Vayishbesu ha'am hayom hashvi. And you thought, I gave it to you according to your das? No, I gave it for your benefit. How so? You're Mekadei Shabbos with food, with drink, with clean clothing. And it's good for you. Listen to this. You think Hashem says that I gave you Shabbos for me? Think about it. The whole week you don't have such good food. Come Shabbos, you have good food. The whole week you don't have such good drink. You have good drink. The whole week you don't sleep well. You sleep well on Shabbos. And if you keep Shabbos, I reward you. We should pay Hashem at the end of every Shabbos. We should be paying God for giving us the Shabbos. No, He pays us for eating and sleeping. You ever hear such a deal? Imagine if the boss came and said, you have to eat a lot of good meals and sleep a lot and take naps, and then I'm going to pay you. If anyone could find a job like that, kala kavod. That's what Hashem does. And then Hashem rewards us, like it says, Oz tisanagal Hashem v'yitein lecha meshaloy slibecha. Eimosai noisen lanu schar. The question is, okay, I'm waiting for the reward. Hashem says, no, in this world you only get the payrois, but the real reward is only in the end. Like it says, V'haya Eikev Tishma'an. So the Medrash Rabbah and the Medrash Tanchuma learn that V'haya Eikev is going on Shabbos. The Am Shenava Rebbe says, the Soifei Tevois of V'haya Eikev Tishma'an equals 707. A final Nun is 700. A final Mem is 500. A final Chaf is 500. A final Mem is 600. A final Nun is 700. It's 707. The Soifei Tevois V'haya Eikev Tishma'an, which is the same numerical value as Hashabas. That's a remez that the words V'haya Eikev Tishma'an is referring to Shabas. So, my friend Rabbi Rafal Ansel of France says that fits very well into the end of the Parsha. Because the Gemara tells us in Masechta Shabbos that anyone who delights in the Shabbos, we give you boundaries without any constraints. Nachla b'li mitzarim. That's the end of the Parsha, where Hashem says, you're not just going to have the boundaries of Israel proper from the Yarden, from the river to the sea. No! Kol makom asher tidroich kaf raglechem. Wherever you go, it's nachla b'li mitzarim. So that fits beautifully into the beginning of the Parsha. Beginning of the Parsha, V'haya Eikev Tishma'an is going on Shabbos. What's the reward of Shabbos? Kol makom asher tidroich kaf raglechem. Next offering was also sent to me by my friend. There's an amazing Baal Turm in the beginning of the Parsha. Lo yiyeh b'cha akar va'akara uvivhemtecha. You will not be barren, and your animals will not be barren. The Baal HaTurim says, Lo yeh lecha akar va'akara is begematria b'divrei Torah. You should not be barren in Torah. What does that mean, you shouldn't be barren in Torah? That means every person has to try to procreate, not just physically and spawn generations and have children, but also intellectually. One is supposed to try, according to their level, to be mechadesh chidushim in Torah. By the way, especially on Shabas. Lo yeh b'cha, you should not be barren in Torah. You need to proliferate and procreate in Torah and be mechadesh. Now, listen to this. It is well known from Rabbi Pinchas Karitzer and the Sefer, the Arvei Nachal of Rabbi David Ivshitz, that the land of Israel is a very unique place. It corresponds to the Torah. And if you want to conquer a specific area in Eretz Yisrael, you have to learn and master that part of Torah that corresponds to it. Do you remember that teaching, that concept that we've learned over the years? That each part of Eretz Yisrael corresponds to another part of Torah. That's why they had a hard time conquering a certain city. Devir, and it was called also Kiryat Sefer. And the Gemara says, no, it's not that they had a hard time conquering it. What it means is they had a hard time, they forgot certain halachos. And the above mentioned Svarim explain that those halachos corresponded to that city. So because they couldn't master those halachos, they couldn't conquer that city. So each part of Eretz Yisrael corresponds to a different part of Torah. We once suggested, that's why the Chesed Li Avram of the great-great-grandfather of the Chida writes that there's no city in Eretz Yisrael as conducive to plumbing the depths of Kabbalah as the city of Tzfas. So the Chassam Sofer asks, how could you say such a thing? But we know that Yerushalayim is the greatest of all the cities, even in Eretz Yisrael. So how could you say that Tzfas has any superiority? And we suggested that every city in Eretz Yisrael corresponds to a different chelek in Torah, and maybe the chelek that corresponds to the city of Tzfas is the Kabbalah. Be it as it may, in the Sefer Ve'ed Ya'ala, the Sefer Eid Ya'ala suggests that if Eretz Yisrael corresponds to different chalakim of Torah, well, what about the idea that you could expand the borders of Eretz Yisrael? Meaning, what about the fact that Hashem promised us wherever we tread will be ours? So what part of Torah do the areas that we step upon outside of Eretz Yisrael, what part of Torah does that correspond to? And it is suggested that the ability to expand the borders of Eretz Yisrael correspond to innovations in Torah, chidushei Torah. So in that case, when the end of the Parsha says, wherever you walk will be yours, that corresponds beautifully, my friend Rav Daniel Weinstein suggests, to the beginning of the Parsha. The beginning of the Parsha begins, Lo yeh lecha akar va'akara, which is a reference to innovating novel Torah ideas, and that the reward for that is what we read in the end of the Parsha, Kal makom asher tidroich kaf raglechem lachem yiyeh. Okay, that is offering number 1, Pesacheinu Megadim.
Recording stopped.